wonderful to be part of HealthFest because it's one project of the Dore Foundation that is very close to my heart, and especially the subject on psychology, connecting it with cancer is something very dear to me.
So today our topic is going to be about blood cancer, and we have Dr. Prasad to talk in detail about blood cancer with us today. So the first question is, a lot of people when they come to know that they have cancer, and cancer has three stages. So when they come to know that they're diagnosed with cancer at first stage, it kind of affects them mentally in few ways. So how do they react to it, and how do people around them also face it? So how do people around them also react? Does that affect them too badly, or is it okay for them that they are able to cope up and manage that, surroundings and they themselves have cancer?
Shreya, any disease for that matter, cancer already has a lot of stigma attached to it. So the fear of the disease itself. Maybe I do not. I'm in the first stage, and initially when there is a diagnosis, and when they say it's blood cancer, any cancer for that matter. Let us be, a generalized statement of having cancer, and when I am told I have. So the first thing that hits me so hard is, why me? What have I done? And always the cancer is equal to death is what is presumed. I mean, we have so many medications, we have a lot of treatments that are existing. But having said that, there is still the fear of, why me? Why has it affected me? And will I die? So that the death which is associated with a disease like cancer, brings about that fear. And mind you, unlike other phobias, this fear is not irrational. So when the fear is also rational, and when it can be justified, it becomes even more difficult for you to internalize that you are suffering from a disease that may lead ultimately to death, and you're not prepared for it. And this was not something that you dreamt of. Everyone wants a beautiful life. Everyone wants, if not a beautiful life, at least a life that I'll live to the fullest. Which will not be painful. Maybe there'll be, I'll get married, there'll be some small struggles here and there and small problems, but nothing as major as being affected with cancer. And Shreya, the other things that are associated with cancer. I mean, I have seen in movies, oh God, that is so painful, and then you lose your hair, and all these elements that are attached, and that which I am exposed to because of the society, because of the media, because of films, because of friends and people around me, all that is associated with cancer also adds to the burden and to the fear of being diagnosed with cancer. And the second question that you asked is also very essential. What happens to the family? Sometimes not just the patient is diagnosed, and if I'm a patient with cancer, I get to know. Sometimes it's the family who knows before if there's something wrong with me, I'm taken to the hospital and there is a biopsy done, or there is some investigations that happens, and after the diagnosis, maybe the parent or maybe the husband is told that there is that your wife probably or your daughter probably is suffering with cancer, and before the patient gets to know, it's the family member who's been told that the person has cancer, and the job becomes even worse because it's the family member who has to now, so acceptance, you have to accept the fact that your dear one, that your family member has cancer. So for you it is a shock for yourself. So it's a shock, it's the sadness, the grief, the anger that, oh God, she's suffering. Oh God, she is having. Now what will happen? How will I cope up? How will she cope up? How are we going to manage? Will it be very painful? How is she going to survive and what if she dies? What will happen to the home? So all this comes to the mind of the family member. So that is one, that itself is a big burden. And then the second burden is as a family member, I have to tell the family member that he or she has been diagnosed with cancer. So that is additional burden. How am I going to tell her about this? And then how is she going to react? How am I going to react to her reaction? So you see, there is this is a huge burden and stress element to the person concerned, the family member, when he or she has been told about this and has to confide and to show the mirror to the person. So I think it carries a lot of burden and pressure and stress, and of course there is sadness and grief, and it is a gloom over the family when you come to know that one of the family members is having cancer. But having said that, it's a process which everyone has to internalize, and I think you have to find the right time and the right moment. There's never a right time or a right moment, but then you still have to find, I think the whole family has to come together and work as a cohesive unit. And Shreya, the importance of the family behaving as one unit is very important. It's important for a positive vibes in the family, at home, for all of us, and also for the person, the patient who has been diagnosed with cancer. Only then all of us together can make this happen, and together we can all create a positive environment, physically, mentally, emotionally and spiritually for the person who's been diagnosed. It could be anybody, it could be your mother, it could be your father, it could be your grandfather, it could be your grandmother, it could be your own self. But it's essential for all of us to come together as one family unit and then tackle this together. So it's like saying that yes, you have, but it's not just you, but we are all in this together. We are all there. You will manage the pain by yourself, but we are there. Morally and psychologically, whenever there is a need, call us out. We are just a cry away. Cry as in not describe, but just, you just call us out and we are there with you. That is very essential, for the person to know that yes, I'm suffering physically, but I have the emotional support. I have the support of my family as a strong backbone for me to fall back on, and that gives you the mental strength that it's okay, you can do it. So that strength to motivate the person is very essential, and once you create that ambient for the patient in the family, I think it goes a long way for the cure and the treatment of cancer.
I was actually about blood cancer. I think I myself gained a lot more about blood cancer actually, because my grandfather was actually diagnosed with blood cancer. He had diabetes and his blood sugar was actually very high, and then because of blood cancer he started bleeding from his tummy and his toes, and then along with blood cancer he was also diagnosed with dementia, Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, and his
like you said, most of the times it's very essential to try and create. I mean, we talk about positive psychology. It's very essential to create that environment physically also. It's also important to engage in activities. You know, it's today we talk about recreation therapy. We talk about creative movement therapy. We talk about art therapy and expressive art therapy. You know, Shreya, there are cases. I mean, you're talking about the terminal cases. Yes, counseling is essential. Counseling of the patient and counseling of the family is essential. But engaging in some of these alternative therapies are also very, very essential and plays a very crucial role in the mind of the patient and the families also. So when you engage in gardening, you engage in painting, in music therapy, in dance, in listening to musical notes, and you have these spiritual exercises, yoga. All these carry a lot of weightage in the treatment. Of course, you are doing other medical. There is medicinal treatment. There is also ECT. I mean, there are leukemia patients are also given other treatments. So when there is a holistic approach which is taken into account, then I think it makes a world of difference for the patients, because then it is easier to cope up with the other areas. And not just with recreational therapy, making them listen to good music, making them walk, making them watch their favorite sport, or engaging them in these sports and playing chess or snake and ladder or some of these things if they are bedridden. It's very essential. Making them listening to music is also very, very essential. So these are all some of the alternative therapeutic interventions that can be brought into their lives to make their lives a little better. You are undergoing that pain, yes, but there is some ease, and your resistance to pain also increases when your mind is at peace, when your heart is at ease. So I think it's important for us to balance and bring in all these alternatives. And I would also want to tell you that food is also a very interesting therapy. When you engage in making all these interesting food, there are times when we make them prepare, lovely bakery items and lovely food cuisines. The smell, the aroma of it also adds to the pleasure, and then for some time you forget that pain that you're undergoing. So I think these are all those things that you have to engage the person in. That brings about for some time you forget the illness, for some time you forget the ailment, and then you are just happy. And like I said, engaging in cooking, in baking, in gardening, in music, all this carries a lot of weightage. And sometimes you just have to take them to the parlor, give them that, medi. So you'll say, oh nonsense, what is this? But it is really essential when you are sometimes pampering your own self. You might have the ailment, but that pampering, that self-care adds to that feeling of ease. And when you are at ease, you feel self-satisfied. And when you are satisfied, your self-esteem goes on a high. Your self-belief takes a different turn. And then you feel good about life. You feel good about yourself. And once that mental framework is positive, then the treatment modalities also have a positive effect. And Shreya, I would try to conclude this whole episode by saying that even if there are cases of terminal illness, when you're at the fourth stage and there is nothing that can be done, and you have a timeline with you, you have a set period, say 4 months or 5 months, and the doctor says that's all, we cannot treat the tumor, there is nothing that can be done, and the blood cancer is at the 4th stage, so leukemia cannot be treated anymore, so please, try and take her back. Even then, I think it's essential for you, for the family members, and for the environment of the home where the patient is, to be positive, to make them feel that the last few time that is left on this earth is spent beautifully. You all know what she loved doing. See, there are always two ways to it, Shreya. Either you're going to die, anyways you're going to suffer, because cancer is painful. You are going to suffer. So either you are going to suffer, the last few stages of your life, you're going to live a painful and die a painful death, or yes, the pain is going to be there, at least I'm going to live my life. At least I loved maybe some food, fish fry, I loved pamphlets, or I loved singing, so I'm going to sing no matter how difficult it's going to be for me. Whether I'm going to croak like a frog, I'm going to sing. So indulging in all these activities that was giving me pleasure, now maybe my body is too painful to undergo all this. Maybe I will not seek the same pleasure, but I think as a family, as a unit of caregivers, as a group of people who love the person, I think it's important for us to create that conducive environment which is positive, which is providing all the pleasures to the person concerned, because no matter what, we have to make those moments worthy and beautiful, because the journey into afterlife should always be beautiful. So I think that is what should be the takeaway of this conversation about not just blood cancer, but cancer of any organ, giving the kind of opportunity for the person to be loved more than what he or she was, and to give all these alternative modes of interventions which will create a beautiful environment for them to be loved, to feel belonged, and to give them all those moments of happiness. That is very essential.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It's beautifully explained. The viewers and I myself learned a lot. I think it's very good to this conversation. I'm so glad having you on the topic.
Thank you, Shreya. Thank you for choosing this subject, because my mother-in-law also suffers from blood cancer, and it's essential that no matter what, she is made part of all the ceremonies that we do for my daughter's wedding also, right from mehendi to sangeet to all the joys and all the masti that we had. She was part of it, and I guess that's our way of telling her that